Today we go to Sodom, or at least we're en route to Sodom. We're going to hear about the sins of Sodom and God's retribution. And believe it or not, powerful lessons for our time. So the angels, they leave Avram Avinu. And they walk very, very slowly, ultimately, to get to Sodom. But before that happens, really tomorrow we're going to get to Sodom itself. Before that happens, Avram Avinu sets out to try and see if he can fix the situation. Abraham argues with God. How does Abraham even know this? Well, the second reading tells us that God said, should I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do to the inhabitants of the plain of Sodom? After all, this is part of the land that I promised him. So if a part of the land I promised, I'm going to destroy a part of the land. And furthermore, I made him the father of many nations. He's Abraham, so he's a father of Hamoin Goyim. And as such, I can't destroy the children without telling the father. And God says I can't keep my plan secret, seeing that I love Avram Avinu so much. He's going to become a great and mighty nation. And so God comes to Avram and he says to him, you must know that the outcry from Sodom and Amorah has become very great, and their sin is very grave. God says, I will descend. I'm going to check it out, just like I did before the dispersion, in order to demonstrate that a judge should never render judgment without carefully examining the evidence. The truth is, God knows everything. Why does God have to say, don't know? God is demonstrating to us. We have to judge sometimes, but be very, very deliberate and careful in judgment. And God has to see, proverbially speaking, if the deeds, the evil deeds committed by the Sodomites match the outcry that has come before. And if it has, God says, I will annihilate them. And if it's not that bad, then I'll know what to do with them. Now, Avram Avinu knew full well that the people of Sodom were corrupt and evil people. He did not fool himself. But Avram, nonetheless, was motivated by compassion. And as the people that he was escorting turned away from him and they headed towards Sodom, Avram Avinu is now still standing before God. God is listening to his words. And Avram understood that these are not people and that their mission is to destroy Sodom. So he figuratively comes forward and he prepares himself in a very, very strident and courageous way. And he is going to speak to God. He's going to plead the case. He's going to make the argument that the people of Sodom should perhaps be spared. Verse 23, Vayigash Avram, Avram draws near. Vayomer, chapter 18, verse 23, Vayomer ha'af tispet tzadikim rasha. Will God, in his anger, liberate, destroy the righteous along with the wicked? What does this mean? What does this mean when he says, Vayigash Avram, Avram draws near? Draws near to where? Can't draw any closer. God is everywhere. So Rashi says, Avram, after all, is proverbially standing before God in the middle of conversation. What's the Vayigash? Matzinu, Rashi says, we have found in the scripture that the term of Hagosha, the notion of drawing close, can indicate milchama. It can indicate a person going on the offensive. As it says in the book of Shmuel, Vayigash Yoav. Yoav was a great general in the army of Israel. He drew close, and he's drawing close for combat. He's drawing close. It's an aggressive stance, and he's going to take the offensive. So we know that Avraham Avinu is taking the offensive. God told him, I'm destroying the people. I will judge and I will see. If they're that evil, I'll annihilate them. If they're not that evil, well, I'll know what to do. God told Avraham that he's going out of his way, so to speak. He's going out of his way. He's going to come down. Erdona. God's going to proverbially come down. God has to come down. God's going to come down. He's going to make sure. He's going to examine the evidence. And yet Avraham Avinu goes on the offensive. And Avraham Avinu says, what? He says, I don't trust God. God doesn't know what he sees. What's Avraham Avinu say? That's what he says. He says, I'm on the offensive. And next thing Rashi says, Hagosha Lepios. Hagosha sometimes comes for the notion of appeasement. Avraham Avinu is trying to appease God. He knows God is angry. He's going to appease him. What does that mean? God's angry. Appease God? He's a crazy old God that has to get appeased. Throw him a bone? What does this mean? And then the third thing is Hagosha L'Tfilah. We see that the notion Hagosha, when you say somebody draws close, or somebody comes forward, that coming forward can indicate that it's going to be a prayer session now. We see that in the book of Kings where it says, Vayigash Eliyahu Hanavi. Eliyahu Hanavi draws close. And Rashi suggests that the Torah says, Vayigash Avraham, even though it's such an odd statement. Because Avraham, it says, is Aidenu Oimed, Lifnei Alekim, he's standing before God, he's in the midst of a conversation. So why in the middle of a conversation would you have to have a Vayigash? So we can see from what's written elsewhere in the scripture that Avraham Avinu came forward for multiple reasons. He prepared himself emotionally to, so to speak, confront God for all three. L'chol ela nichnas Avraham. Avraham draws, so to speak, close. L'daber koshes. He's going on the offensive. He's going to speak to God and he's going to use strident terminology. Rebbeinu Shalom, we can't do this. He's going to come to Pius. He's going to say, dear God, I'm just a little Avram. I could have been dust and ashes, but maybe, possibly, could you reconsider? And finally, L'Tfilah, Avraham Avinu will pray on behalf of the wicked, for this is an Avraham Avinu. And Noach said, I don't know what to do. They're wicked. They're wicked. I tried to preach. Maybe I didn't try. Whatever. What should I do? Avraham Avinu said, not only will I try to make a difference, I will even pray on their behalf. And what is Avraham Avinu's opening line? His opening line is, Ha'af tispet tzadikim rasha. Will you annihilate, will you liberate the righteous with the wicked? What do you mean? What kind of question is that? Did God not tell Avraham Avinu, I'm going to go and judge? I will examine the evidence. I will see who is found wanting or not. What do you mean? Avraham Avinu says, will you do this? So Rashi says, Ha'af tispe can first be understood, Hagam tispe. Will you then? Or would you? Would you? Would you destroy the righteous with the wicked? But then there's another way of understanding this. And that is that the Targum Onkelos, according to Onkelos interpreted the word ha'af, not as would you, but he says l'shen roiges. This is a language of anger. In other words, Avraham Avinu kach pirushe. This is the way you should understand this, is Rashi. Ha'af yasiecha? Would your anger carry you away? Would you in your anger do this? To liberate Shatis Petzadik and Russia, to destroy and liberate the righteous with the wicked? What question is this? What question? God just told Avraham, I'm going out of my way. I myself am coming there. I will judge, I will look, I will examine, and I will decide. How does Avraham question God's judgment? Would God kill the wicked? Why would he kill with the righteous? Why would God kill the righteous? But Avraham Avinu suggested that God's going to kill the righteous. What's going on over here? And then Avraham says, maybe amongst all the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands, who knows how many people were living there, maybe you can find 10 righteous people. Ha'af tispe, are you then going to liberate them? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not, so to speak, if you will, carry the place or spare the place. Laman chamishim tzadikim, for the sake of 50 tzadikim that find themselves in these 5 mini provinces. Rashi says, Uli yesh chamishim tzadikim. What did Avraham Avinu pick the number 50? It's like an arbitrary number. He picked it out of a hat. Where do you get 50 from? So Rashi says, Avraham Avinu knew in the future the Torah gets given, and a minyan makes a congregation. Where do we learn that from? From 10 wicked men who brought back a bad report about the land of Israel. 2 good men, Yehoshua and Kalev, just 2 good men. 10 wicked men. And it's called a congregation. 5 cities. This is not a Jewish minyan, but it's a minyan. A minyan, you couldn't say Kaddish, but nonetheless, this is the kind of minyan of Avraham Avinu. That's where he got the number from. He said, there's Asara Tzadikim. We'll find 10 Tzadikim, L'kol Krach, L'krach, for every one of these provinces. Because it was 5 little provinces. Then Rashi adds, Avraham Avinu is saying something else. Not only is he saying maybe the tzaddikim should be there to shield everybody else with their merits, And even if you're going to say that the wicked should not be saved on account of the righteous, so he says, Lama tamis hatzadikim, why should the righteous die? Again, Avraham Avinu is assuming the righteous will die, God will kill the righteous, and I ask you this morning, for heaven's sake, why would God kill the righteous? Why would God kill the righteous? What's Avraham Avinu saying? Oh, God, you killed the righteous. Avraham Avinu speaks like this. This is a declaration of faith. This is a declaration of trust. This is a declaration of Avraham Avinu loves Hashem, and God specifically here says, I'm going to go down. I'm going to see. I'm going to decide. Okay, so if I'm going to see and I'm going to decide, and God says, I'll liberate them, I'll annihilate them, or I'll know what to do. Maybe the reports I'm getting are not exactly commensurate to the evil that's being committed. Maybe, God's, I don't know, maybe. I'm going to come and see. God has to come and see. But God's going to come and see. He tells Avraham Avinu, lest you think whatever, I'm coming to see. And Avraham says, yeah, I understand that, God. I know you're like a judge and everything, but you're not going to kill the righteous, will you? The Rebbeinu God, the Rebbeinu Shalom. Why would you say that? It gets worse. In verse 25, Avraham Avinu says, God, you would never do something like this. Now he's appeasing God, you know. He says, God, you would never do such a thing. What kind of thing? To have a tzaddik swept away, destroyed with the wicked? I think it's the fourth time now, in 2 sentences. Avraham Avinu is suggesting that a tzaddik will be like a rasha. Chalila lecha. Again, chalila. We'll soon talk what chalila means. Hashayfet kol haaretz layasa mishpat. The judge of the whole land won't do justice? What kind of assumption is this? It's like almost, be it resolved. God isn't fair. Now let's talk. How can Avraham suggest that? And the irony of ironies is that God says, I'm going to come down all by myself. I will not rely on reports, angels, my video cameras. I'm coming myself. I'm going to see and I'm going to know. Okay, so trust God. He says he's going to see. He's going to know. He's going to weigh. He's going to judge. He's going to do. Avraham Avinu should say, Amen. You want to daven? Daven. But you suggest that maybe God is liberating the wicked, the righteous with the wicked? And it's multiple times. Multiple times Avraham Avinu makes this suggestion. In verse 23, Ha'aftis b'tzadikim rasha. Will you get carried away with your anger? What, does God get carried away with his anger? Getting carried away with anger is a demerit, it's a weakness, it's a fault. God has no faults. Avraham says, maybe you're getting carried away. Maybe you need to take up some Valium or something. Chill out, God. Go to Bermuda for a week and then we'll talk about this. What kind of words is this?
God said he wouldn't do it after Noah.
God said he would destroy the whole world. He didn't say, well, destroy a piece of the world. So here we have Avraham Avinu saying in verse 23, he's suggesting that God is going to destroy the righteous with the wicked. Then in verse 24 he says, maybe the 50 tzaddikim, as Rashi explains, there's 2 points being made here. Number 1, maybe the 50 tzaddikim. Number 2, half tispa. Would you then destroy the wicked together with the righteous? So that's the second time. Verse 25, Chalil God, you would never do something like this. Kadavar hazeh. Like there's something terrible, ominous. God is doing a bad thing. The Sodom tzaddikim are not getting a fair shake. Number 3, God, Avraham suggests that. And now he's explicit. Laham is tzaddik in Russia. Explicitly, for the 4th time, suggesting that God doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to do something which is wrong. Wow. That God will make a righteous into a wicked. That's number 5. Number 6, Hashefet Kalar Zayasa Mishpat. 6 times in 2 verses, Avraham Avinu suggests that God maybe isn't doing the right thing. Really? I mean, yeah, you got to ask yourself what's going on over here. What exactly does all of this mean? Let's take a look in Rashi. Rashi says, what is Chalila? Chalila, Rashi says, comes from the terminology Chulin. Chulin means weekday, mundane, ordinary. God, this is good for the Supreme Court of Canada. It's not good for God. God doesn't do things like that. Chulin ulecha. That you would kill the righteous with the wicked. Yoimru. You know what the people are going to say, God? Forget what you're doing. Forget the thing itself. Think what the tabloids will say. Think what the headlines will be. The headline will be God, the unfair judge. They'll say, Kachu umonosei. This is his profession. Shaitef hakel. He wipes them all off. He liberates everything. Tzadikim im rishoyim. The wicked with the righteous. Kachasisa l'deramabel. That's what you did to the generation of the great flood. And that's what you're doing again. L'derafloga. It's going to be strike 3. You could already see it. Strike 3. God wipes them all off again. The wicked with the righteous. Can't do this. You can't do this. You can't even do something like this. Abraham says, a second time. What's the second time? You already said it once. Rashi says, La'ilam haba, which according to the Chizkuni means not the world to come, but the future generations. Tomorrow's world. They'll still be talking about it. They'll still be angry at God decades and centuries and millennia later. The God who destroys the righteous with the wicked. Hashefet kol haaretz. Rashi says, Hashefet lashon tmiya. I wonder, could that be? Hashefet kol haaretz. The judge of the whole land. Lo yaseh mishpat. He won't do judgment. How could it be? That's what it says. I'm not making any of this up. What's going on here? What is the supposition? How does Avram even think? And by the way, God doesn't like say to Avram, how dare you speak like that to me? Do you think God says, no problem. That's fine. I hear you, Avram. There isn't 50 tzaddikim. Maybe there's 40 tzaddikim. Maybe 30, maybe 20, maybe 10, maybe 8. No. All right, fine. Avram says, I rest my case. What happened? Who are the tzaddikim of Sodom? Thank God that Rebbe explained this, because I'm telling you, this will be like a real problem. All right, so let's open up our Burim book. And Rebbe asks more or less this very question. Bottom of page Reish Yud Zayin, the Rebbe says, what in heaven is going on over here? Why does Avram have to daven? Lispal ala tzadikim, to daven for the righteous. Shalei yispu, that they shouldn't be liberated. V'chihele bedaite, that Avram really believes shatzadikim yiyonshu. Did he really believe that the righteous would be punished for a sin they didn't do? Did Abraham really believe that? Rebbe says something unbelievable. V'yesh liyashev. This can all be smoothed over, made right. Do you know what the evil was? It was the sin of silence. The silence of the Sodomites. Because they didn't raise their voices up. You saw it happen. What'd you say about it? Don't bother me. I don't want to stick my neck out. What will they say? I don't want to get into trouble. Go beneath the radar and dodge the raindrops, and you shall be safe. That's what they said. They didn't say, Gewalt, what are you doing? This is the reason Avram says maybe the tzaddikim, by the way they weren't. But even if there had been tzaddikim, those tzaddikim, those righteous, the people who didn't oppress and abuse and harm and kill and maim and rape, even those people would be guilty. They'll be guilty with the sin of silence. Complicit and guilty. Deserving of punishment. That's what Avram is davening for. Do you understand? Did they ever turn the lights on for us? All of a sudden it makes so much sense. According to this, it says Kushas and Mefarshim. The Mefarshim ask a question on Rashi a little later. Take a look. Let's turn on your Chumash now. The same reading. We're going to go to verse 17 of chapter 19. You should take a look and see this. Look inside it. It says, in verse 17, it says like this. The Malach says, it says, to take him out, taking Lot, the Malach, and the angel that's saving Lot, takes Lot and his daughters and his wife out of the city. Vayomer, he says, Himolet al nafshecha. In plain English, run for your life. Al tabet acharecha, don't turn around. Don't turn around. Al tamay, don't stand still for 1 second. B'chol hakikar, hahara himolet, run into the hills, don't stand in this plain. Run for your life. Why? Himalat, escape. Penti Safa. What does Rashi say, Penti Safa? What does Rashi say in verse 17, Penti Safa? Rashi says, run for your life, Himalat, Penti Safa, lest you become swept up. So Rashi tells us that the Malachim said to the angels would say, well, what did I do? Avram Lot's a tzaddik, Lot's a good guy. So Rashi says, Ata hirashta imaim. You were wicked with them. You deserve to be punished. So why am I being saved? Lot would say. You know why you're being saved? Ubeschus Avraham aton nitzol. You're being saved in the merit of Abraham. But you know, we're going to read the story tomorrow. Lot is not such a bad guy, it seems. When the guests come, what does Lot do? He says, please come to my house. I'm having the second Seder tonight. I got matzah prepared. Come to my house. So Lot was hospitable. Lot was nice. What do you mean, Ata hirashta? Where did Rashi get that from? Al tabet acharecha. Don't turn around and look. Rashi says, don't turn around because you yourself deserve to be destroyed too. Why does Lot deserve to be destroyed? What do you mean, Ata hirashta? And the strangest thing is the Malachim themselves, if you go back just a few verses, you go back from 17, go back to verse 15, look in the scripture itself, it says, the Malachim said, Kum kach esishtecha. Take your wife, Eshnei b'nei Secha, your two unmarried daughters, hanimtzois who are home, pen tisofa be'avoin ha'ir. Lest you be swept up, lest you be liberated in the sin of the city. In verse 15, it says, Lot's not a sinner, the city is a sinner. Lot is going to get liberated in the sin of the city. But in verse 17, Rashi somehow finds the brevity to say, Ata hirashta, you sinned, you need to run away. What do you mean? He didn't do anything. Lot is a good guy. The Rebbe says, now we understand. Now we understand why Lot's not such a good guy. Lot didn't do those things. Lot wasn't the real Sodomite. He had too much of Abraham still inside him. Did he ever raise his voice? Did he ever protest? Did he ever say, Rabbi, what are you doing? This is wrong. It has to stop. He didn't say anything. He never protested. It's as if he sinned with them. And I ask you, my dear friends, is this not a lesson for our times? Things happen, and people raise voices, and everybody wants to be safe. Nobody wants to stick his neck out. Nobody wants to say, hey, what's going on over here? Why is this being allowed? Why is this happening? Sin of silence. Hear no evil, see no evil, ignore it, ignorance is bliss. Well, this reading tells us it isn't. The truth is, it seems there was no other tzaddik. If there was anybody who wasn't guilty, it was Lot. And even he, we could see later on, is considered to be wicked. Ata hirashta, says Rashi. Why? Because you were silent. Don't be silent. It couldn't be clearer.
Was he also not prepared to sacrifice his daughters? I mean,